I've shown these in update videos, but I might as well show them again. City Slickers, a great comedy with Billy Crystal about midlife crisis. Also with an Oscar-winning performance by Jack Palance. Really, really good movie. I'm not going to go too in-depth on these. 8 Mile, the Eminem film with the Oscar-winning song Lose Yourself. Sort of semi-biographical on how Eminem tried to make it in the rap world, in the rap community, while simultaneously wrestling with his own demons. Really good. Respect, the Aretha Franklin film. It's excellent. I don't have much to say, but I do wish for they release the Genius Aretha show on DVD. But the Respect film is great too. Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer. Great fantasy films with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I believe this just got an Arrow release recently, so we'll see if that's any better, but I'll stick with this for now. Conan the Barbarian is fantastic because it's not really much a revenge film as much as about a man trying to understand who he is thanks to what his father said to him, thanks to what his dad said to him. And Conan the Destroyer, yeah, it was trying to be more mainstream, but it was good otherwise. Carlito's Way, the successor to the Brian De Palma remake of Scarface. Someone who was in the crime world, but he's trying to get out. Also with Sean Penn. I think this got an Arrow release too. Ever After. So, if you ever have a conversation with your girlfriend or your wife about the best Cinderella film, show them this. I guarantee you the conversation will stop immediately. It's great. Step Brothers. The only Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly, and Anna McKay collaboration that really clicked. This is just a really funny movie. Absolutely hilarious. And it's funny because it's a relatable situation. You know, it's a very relatable situation. And I know not everybody's a Will Ferrell fan, but give us a try. Shoot 'Em Up, a fantastic actioner with Clive Owen protecting Monica Bellucci from hitman Paul Giamatti. Just bullets flying everywhere. Just absolutely fantastic. Oh man, it's great. Office Space, created by Mike Judge. Very good. Yeah, if you could watch this movie, that would be great. Just a very funny film. Sort of, satirizing the office cubicle lifestyle. A Time to Kill, a very underappreciated drama, courtroom drama. Fantastic performance by Samuel L. Jackson. Another one of these films dealing with racial tolerance and racial bigotry. But really great. Bought this new, actually, when I bought it. I bought it new originally. Babe. Yes, I know some of these are out of order. I do apologize. I haven't seen this film since I was a kid. And I remember this film very well. The pig who became a sheepdog. So nostalgic. The Star Wars Trilogy bonus material DVD. I'll get back to that later. Alright, back on track. The Trump Prophecy. Oh my god. I saw this at a dollar store, and I'm like, yes. I'd heard about this film. This film was released in theaters for like 2 days. And I finally got around to buying it, and I have not seen this yet. Basically, it's the true story of a firefighter who had a Christian awakening where, this voice or whatever, according to him, his voice told him to vote for Donald Trump to become president. Pure Country, I don't know what this is. I blind bought this. George Strait. I don't know what this is. Practical Magic, I don't know what this is either. Some film about riches. I don't know. Go check out Witches of Eastwick. I talked about this before, but Phantom Tollbooth, a underappreciated animated film by Chuck Jones that uses education as its driving force. No pun intended. Yeah, you got great cast: Mel Blanc, Candy Candido, June Foray. Yeah, just really fantastic film. Next, we have the Robin Williams Comic Genius set. So this has all 5 of his HBO specials. You have Off the Wall, An Evening with Robin Williams, An Evening at the Met, Live on Broadway, and Weapons of Self-Destruction. And yeah, I know some people like his comedy, some people like his drama, some people like both, depending on the script. But if you just want to see Robin Williams' like comedic stand-up stuff, this is great. There's actually a volume 2, which I don't have, but yeah. Alright, back here we have Snakes on a Plane. I'm not going to say the line because we all know it by now. Samuel L. Jackson fighting snakes on a plane. I mean, what am I supposed to say? The title kind of says all you need to know. Smokey and the Bandit. I talked about this film when I was talking about my Burt Reynolds tribute. And yes, he signed that for me. It might be a little bit smeared because I put the thing in a little too early. But it says, to Mark, your friend, Burt Reynolds. But yeah, I've always loved Smokey and the Bandit. It's one of my favorite like action comedies. You know, also with Sally Field, Jerry Reed, and Sheriff Buford T. Justice. Jackie Gleason, oh yes. This is just one of my favorite films in general. You know, this is just one of my favorite films in general, and absolutely love it so much. I have seen the second one. I did not see the third. Slumdog Millionaire, Best Picture winner 2008. This is a really interesting film. A film about, Dev Patel. He takes part in this like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire type show, and every single question he seems to get him right, but only because of the fact that they all relate to a personal experience that he had, and so he traces his life and everything. This is just it's interesting. Anytime you get this on home video, on DVD, or you either come across a DVD that has extras or none. It won't tell you that on the back of the box, but for some reason, I don't know. I couldn't say. Next, we have the Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn box set. So this has Pat and Mike, Adam's Rib, and Women of the Year. Women of the Year is fantastic. I can't tell if I saw Adam's Rib or Women of the Year. Both of these are great, though. I never saw Pat and Mike, I can tell you that right now. It also has the documentary The Spencer Tracy Legacy, which I don't think I ever saw that. But yeah, these two were fantastic together. They did rom-coms, they did dramas, and they were best friends in real life. And yeah, you can just tell that their chemistry really worked because they teamed up in many movies. But Women of the Year is one of her best ones. Sunshine, directed by Danny Boyle, was not bad. Not a bad movie at all. Basically about these men who have to try and save the sun because the sun is basically dying. And it's kind of interesting, actually. It's kind of an interesting movie. I don't have much to say about it, but I think overall it's pretty good. Underrated. Surrogates with Bruce Willis. Again, this is another sci-fi film that people don't talk about, but it's actually not bad. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but it's kind of like iRobot meets Blade Runner, if that makes sense. Swimming with Sharks with Kevin Spacey. I haven't seen this yet. Does not have a Blu-ray, but I've not seen it. I have heard good things, though. I don't know. I haven't heard much about it, to be honest. The Story of Vernon and Irene Castle with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. I have not seen this. Sparkle. This was actually a remake of a film from 1975. This one has Jordan Sparks and Whitney Houston. Also with Sewell Green as well. It's been a long time since I've seen this, but next we have a Shrek films. Yes, we're finally into Shrek. It's funny, Shrek has been coming back into my life recently. Yeah, the first Shrek was more or less just kind of like a parody or like a satire of, fairy tales and Disney and everything, and it was fine. It worked the way it needed to at the time, but I don't really remember these movies all that much. It's been a while since I've seen this. Eddie Murphy as Donkey. At the time he was doing the whole family-friendly thing. And yeah, this is one of DreamWorks' flagship franchises. And now I do remember Shrek 2. I remember Shrek 2 more than the first. Yeah, you got Antonio Banderas as Puss in Boots. You have Fiona's parents. You have the climax with the giant gingerbread man. You have oh my god, so many great stuff in here. So much good stuff. Yeah, this you could just tell that this was better than the first. You could easily tell. There's not even a question. Yeah. And the third one, Shrek the Third. Yeah. I'm remembering. Yeah. Is this the one with? I'm blanking on who's in this one. You know what? I'm completely lost. I think this is the one with the Tower Shreks, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have a fourth one, Shrek Forever After. I don't have Puss in Boots, and I don't have Puss in Boots for Last Wish. I do want to get all of them though, even though I didn't like the fourth one at all. And by the way, if you want to hear my thoughts on Shrek 5, about that, I have no faith in that movie at all. I just don't. Next, we got some random miscellaneous stuff. Yes, I have a physical copy of the Star Wars Holiday Special. This thing is so infamous, and it's such a joke that it... Here's the thing. I understand, to a degree, like, why people are so mad about this movie. Like, they know... I get it. I do. But, like, you have to understand, this thing... It's really bad. I tried watching this one time. It was really bad. I never even finished it. Yeah, I never finished it. I will say, though, one good thing. It's not canon. Waist Deep with Tyrese Gibson. I never heard of this one. I don't know about this one. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Oh, dear Lord. I grew up with this. I watched this in the theater back in 2004 with a couple of my friends, and we all loved it. We all thought it was great because we were both fans of SpongeBob back in the day. And yes, this was our, this was our SpongeBob movie. And yes, this was great. I don't have much to complain about. Unfortunately, SpongeBob had, after this movie, which I'm not even going to get to all the reasons why, it seemed like he went so far downhill that it was hugely upsetting. Thumbelina. Yeah, this is a Don Bluth movie. I can't... I don't remember if I saw this or not. Is this the one where everybody's trying to get at her because, Yeah, I think so. This is a Don Bluth movie, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Okay, yeah. Next, this is what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about Peplum Penguin. Yep, this was the blockbuster copy I bought. This is it, right here. This is what I bought from a rental section. And yes, we were allowed to do that at the time. So yes, I do have personal reservations with this. I'm not getting rid of this because now the only thing I need is like a blockbuster VHS case and we'll be good. Oh yes, I remember this. I do. I decided to keep it, mostly for personal memento's sake, but yeah. So yeah, I have 2 copies of that. Secret of Nim 2, Timmy to the Rescue. It's crap. Do you want to see it again? Okay. Talk about one of the worst sequels ever made. I don't even know where to begin. First of all, okay. This gets Nim completely wrong. Timmy is not an interesting leading character. The characters you knew from the first movie are basically animatons and basically useless. They won't even actually do anything. The animation's alright, but most of it's just cheap. The twist villain at the end makes no sense whatsoever. The supporting characters you get are completely just backwards and broken. Yeah, this movie is complete garbage. I'm sorry. It's bad. It is really bad. Oh dear Lord, it's bad. But hey, you're a fan of the first Nim, so you have it, so whatever. Alright, next up we have Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Oh yeah, Disney, what have you done? Anyway, outside of that little blunder in recent years, this is the film that pretty much started an entire industry, for better or worse. This was such a historic film that it can never be topped. This was the film that changed animation as a whole. It changed animation as a medium, and of course, it's considered one of the greatest animated films of all time. It's actually sacred at this point. That this movie started an entire industry, one where no one had any faith in it at all at the time, and it made history. And you can't go wrong. I mean, this and Pinocchio pretty much shaped what Disney is. It pretty much, those 2 films pretty much shaped Disney, as a studio, South Pacific. I grew up on this, but I didn't really understand it until I was cast in South Pacific in 2019. It took me many, I rewatched this in preparation for the stage production that I was in, and I understood it a lot better. This was a show dealing with racial prejudice at the time, that this was common during World War II. So yeah, I understand it more now than I did when I first saw this. But this is actually one of my favorite Rodgers and Hammerstein productions. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this one. Next we have one of my favorite films of all time, Some Like It Hot. And yes, I am going to get a Criterion edition of this at some point. This is one of my favorite comedies of all time. I've seen this movie probably 6 or 7 times. Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon play 2 musicians who they're trying to avoid getting killed by the mafia, and so they disguise themselves as women on board Marilyn Monroe's, I think it's like an all-female band. And yeah, I don't want to give it away, but this is one of my favorite films. I saw this film when I met Tony Curtis in person, and oh my god, it is, yeah, this is just one of the funniest movies I have ever seen in my life. Especially, there's so many moments that stick out in my head. The train scene with the train scene where all these women are climbing aboard this one section of the living quarters just to get wine or something like that. How Tony Curtis plays, this guy who owns a yacht, but he's so out of love, but it's like but Marilyn Monroe tries to get him back in love, not realizing that he's also playing this woman who, oh my god, it's one of my favorite films of all time. Something's Gotta Give with Jack Nicholson and Diane Keaton. I have not seen this. I mean, this is it does not have a Blu-ray, but you can literally get this for $1. I'm not kidding. Solomon and Sheba with Yul Brynner. I have not seen this, but I know of a history behind it, so Tyrone Power was supposed to have been in it. King Vidor. Yeah, King Vidor directed it. Okay. Spartacus. The Stanley Kubrick epic from 1960. Yeah, a lot of people don't... I think what's really weird about this movie is that a lot of people don't even realize it's Stanley Kubrick. They don't even believe that Stanley Kubrick directed this. And he did. So when you see a lot of Kubrick documentaries and stuff, they barely even touch this. The only Kubrick documentary I can think of, or at least one I've seen, that actually talked about this movie was A Life in Pictures. Which I'll come back to that in a minute. It's literally right there. Anyway, so Spartacus. It's funny, I'm not the biggest nut of this one. But then again, I haven't seen it since I was a kid. This and 2001: A Space Odyssey were my only glimpses into who Stanley Kubrick was. And as a result, I haven't seen it since then. I have not seen this movie in probably, I don't know, maybe 13, 14 years, something like that. No, probably 15, 16 years. So, yeah, you could imagine, I do want to give this another whirl. I just ordered the 2015 restoration. But, yeah, it's, I've not seen that film in quite some time. The Social Network. I don't know if I've said this before, but I am not a fan of Aaron Sorkin. I don't like his movies at all. The thing about Aaron Sorkin is, when he writes fiction, he's really good. A Few Good Men, The American President. But when he writes true stories, he seems to take the material that he acquired, throws it out the window, and he's even said before that he took everything he learned and threw it out the window and created this, bad, and the other thing. And he's done this over and over again. I loved The Social Network, but I did not care for... I did not like Being with Ricardos. That was really insulting, considering that I'm a huge fan of I Love Lucy. I didn't like Moneyball all that much. But then again, it's been a long time since I've seen it. And Steve Jobs, I'll come back to that in a minute. But anyway, The Social Network. Basically about the creation of Facebook. And I liked this movie. Yes, I got this from Blockbuster. So, yeah, it was good. I just haven't seen it since then. Son of God. This was the companion piece to the TV miniseries The Bible. And you could make the argument that they just hastily just slapped some of the footage from the show onto this movie. I don't know, because I never saw the show, but I saw this movie. And, well, I think it's fine. I think I like Jesus Christ Superstar way better. But again, that's just me. Space Cowboys. One of the earliest Clint Eastwood films I saw. Yeah, one of the earliest. Great cast. Clint Eastwood, Tommy Lee Jones, Donald Sutherland, James Garner. Yeah, this movie, I haven't seen this in a long time. Spaceballs. I have not seen this either. And I know what you're thinking. What the hell, Mark? Why haven't you seen Spaceballs? You know what? I really don't know. I actually watched Dracula Dead and Loving It recently. So, yeah, I'm probably going to love this movie. I'm most definitely going to love this movie because it's basically a parody of Star Wars and Star Trek. So it's a little of both. So, yeah. Speed. Dennis Hopper put a bomb on a bus, and the bus can't go under 50 miles an hour or it'll explode. And Keanu Reeves is trying to, make sure that everybody gets off the bus safely. And yeah, this is an action classic right here. This is an action classic. It's great. It's suspenseful. Oh man. Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock, and Dennis Hopper. Oh yes. Love it for Speed. Speed 2 Cruise Control will not be showing up in my collection. For obvious reasons. Alright, next we have the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, which I did mention this in my End of Disney video. But the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films were essentially... This was when superhero films were starting to be taken seriously after the 2000 release of X-Men. And yeah, this was the second attempt. You have Tobey Maguire, J.K. Simmons as the head of the newspaper thing that Peter Parker works for. Kristen Dunst. You have as Mary Jane. You have James Franco as man, I'm blanking on the names right now. But yeah, the first Spider-Man was really good. This is a really neat free disc edition, which is, I believe it's pretty rare now. So, yeah, the first one's good. The second one was awesome. I think it improved on the original. Basically, it's showing what exactly does it really mean to be a superhero, and what are the sacrifices that one has to make in order to become a superhero. Doc Ock is a fantastic villain, played by Alfred Molina. And yes, this movie's just great. I have no complaints with this one. And the infamous Spider-Man 3, which I think we all know Spider-Man 3, but for those of you who don't, they did way too much in this one by including 3 villains. They brought back the Green Goblin. That's the villain in the first Spider-Man, the Green Goblin. I was blanking on his name a minute ago. Anyway, so yeah, the Green Goblin, they brought in Sandman and Venom. And by the way, the way they portrayed Venom in this movie is kind of a joke. They clearly did not think of Venom thoroughly in this one. They didn't think it through at all. And yeah, it's funny, but this is a rare free disc edition. I don't know where it came from, but yeah. Next we have Phase 3 of the MCU, Spider-Man Homecoming. This is not the same, with great power comes great responsibility, yada yada. It wasn't that. We didn't have that again. This one, we had a familiar hero trying to understand who he is as Spider-Man. And his mentor, Tony Stark, tries to help him out. And yeah, this movie is really good. So, no complaints with that one. And next, we have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Oscar winner for Best Animated Film. This movie is great. Introducing Miles Morales as the new Spider-Man, or at least the Spider-Man of this universe, and with an alternate version of Peter Parker. And yeah, this is a very different type of Spider-Man film, and it worked really well. And I did see Across the Spider-Verse, which that was absolutely brilliant. But the one thing that they should not have done was ended on a cliffhanger. They ended it on a cliffhanger, and what did they do? They stunned the audience. I'm not even kidding. I've seen reactions from people who they were very surprised by the ending of that movie. And not only that, but like they postponed the third one by about like 3 years. So we have to wait like 3 years or something. It was supposed to come out this year, but then they pushed it back to 2 more years. I don't know what are they doing. If they want to take their time on it, I support that. But don't hype us up like this and then just leave us hanging. That's like if someone did a TV show and this happened before. And you know how some TV shows they leave it on cliffhangers and nothing gets done with it at all. They just kind of leave it there. Maybe it gets canceled or something. That's exactly what this is like. It's really, really dumb. Spotlight. Best Picture winner 2015. One of my favorite films. The film about the true story of this newspaper, the Boston Globe, that's it. The Boston Globe is trying to expose the scandal involving the abuse at the hands of the Catholic Church and all the risks and stuff that come with it. Very powerful story, very meaningful one. One of my favorites. I absolutely love... I love the acting in this. Like, the acting in this is spot on. Mark Ruffalo, Michael Keaton, Rachel McAdams, Stanley Tucci. Just an amazing, amazing film. Amazing story. And overall, very meaningful, very powerful one. Love it. Suicide Squad, the David Ayer one. I talked about this when I talked about this film in an update video, but it is such a mess. It is such a mess of a movie. The random tone shifts, the logical inconsistencies, the lack of understanding of who these characters are. And yeah, it's not very good. The Simpsons movie. This was originally meant to be a finale to the show, but now the show has gone on for so long that the movie was just basically a revival of the show. I don't know. I don't understand why this show is still going on. I mean, I liked The Simpsons back when, it was new. Back when the first maybe 10 seasons or so, but I stopped caring about the show a long time ago. I stopped caring about it a long time ago. It's not, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but yeah. The movie's good, but Spies Like Us. A really good movie, actually. This is like if you took the road movies with Bob Hope and Bing Crosby and you mix it in with a touch of Get Smart. And it actually worked. Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd, directed by John Landis. Really funny movie. So definitely check this out if you are in the mood for a good little movie. Does not have a Blu-ray though. Stand By Me. People don't realize this, but this was actually based on a Stephen King novella with Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, and Kiefer Sutherland. Pretty decent movie. A nice little coming-of-age story that actually worked. Here we go. Stanley Kubrick, A Life in Pictures. This is an excellent documentary. It basically analyzes all Kubrick's filmography. It talks about the themes. It talks about the making of them. It talks about the storylines. It doesn't go into extensive detail because it's 2.5 hours, so you have to get some of the essential material out of the way. But it really captures Kubrick's eye. It really captures what he saw through the people that he worked with, his friends, his family, and it even talks about some projects that he never got to see get made, such as Napoleon and AI, artificial intelligence. It's one of my favorite documentaries of all time. Still Alice. Julianne Moore won an Oscar for portraying a woman with early onset Alzheimer's. As someone who had a grandmother with Alzheimer's, this is painfully accurate. And also, it's well acted too. Starting Over, this got a Kino release recently. This is an underrated rom-com. with Burt Reynolds juggling between Candice Bergen, who wants to be a songwriter, and Jill Clayburgh, who wants to be a teacher. Am I getting that right? Yeah, I got that right. Okay. This is just really funny. This is just funny. A lot of people don't, like, understand, this is just funny. People don't know this one, but it's underrated, so it's worth checking out. Next, we have the Stan Worrell and Oliver Hardy disc set. This was put out by Echo Bridge. And at some point, I do want to get, like, I think there's another box set that has, like, all their movies or something like that. Anyway, but this disc has some of their silent stuff as well as their sound films. Warren Hardy, they are one of the best comedic duos to have ever appeared on the screen. Where some people have their choice of the Three Stooges or the Marx Brothers. Others have a choice of Worrell and Hardy. So yeah, we got a couple of their silent films and a few of their sound films. This does not have everything, and that's probably because most of these are in public domain, so that could be the reason. I know Utopia, also known as Atoll K, was the last film they did together, and I believe, if I remember correctly, Lucky Dog from, I believe, 1915 was the first one that they did together. But oh yes, I love Warren Hardy. I do. Straight Jacket. Okay. After whatever happened to Baby Jane, Joan Crawford and Bette Davis had to do these horror thrillers for a while. Bette Davis was able to do other stuff after she did a film called Dead Ringer. Not to be confused with the David Cronenberg Dead Ringers, with an S. And so Bette Davis was able to do other stuff. But Joan Crawford, unfortunately, she was stuck doing these horror thrillers for the rest of her career. Her final film in 1970 was a sci-fi film called Trog. I've seen it, it's actually okay. But Straight Jacket, basically, how do I explain this one? William Castle did several films with her. This one, I Saw What You Did, and there was another one, I believe it's called Berserk, which I did see that one. Berserk was kind of interesting, actually. So, except the twist, the twist in that ending sucked. The twist in that movie was terrible. Okay, but yeah, Straight Jacket. It's actually really sad when you realize that these were the last films that Joan Crawford did, considering her line of work originally, doing dramas and romance and even a Western or two. And even the fantastic Oscar-winning performance of Mildred Pierce. So, yeah, and the thing is that Straight Jacket is actually kind of a decent movie. It's actually kind of a decent movie with an actual, like, twist that actually was kind of good. So that worked out. But, yeah, I just feel sorry for what happened to her at the end of her career. Starman. I've not seen this one. With Jeff Bridges and Karen Allen. I've not seen this one. It was directed by John Carpenter. Released in 1985. I've heard of it. Starship Troopers. The only good bug is a dead bug. Oh, yes, I liked Starship Troopers. Sort of a part satire, part sci-fi, part action, part comedy. This movie's got so many things going for it. Directed by Paul Verhoeven. This was really interesting. No, I've not seen the sequels. There's two of them, and I don't care for them at all. But check out the first one. The first one's great. Alright, next we have some of the Star Trek movies. Yes, I have a few of them. I'm not a Trekkie. I'm not a Trekker either. And that's because every time I try to go near Star Trek, I just, I'm not really the big a fan of it. I do like the original series, though. The original series with William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy. I liked that series, mostly because a lot of it was just easy to understand. Whereas, the later shows like The Next Generation, I tried watching The Next Generation. I couldn't stand it. The dialogue was so, techno babble stuff. It just drove me crazy. Like, I was just like, okay, can you please explain what you're telling me? My God. Yeah, I was not a fan of that show. I mean, the show is okay, but I don't know. I'm just not. Star Trek just isn't for me, personally. But let me show you what I have. Star Trek the Motion Picture from 1979, directed by Robert Wise. This is one of the first Star Trek movies I ever saw. Which is funny I say that because I didn't even watch the show, and I don't even know what this was, I had no idea. And it's funny, these movies have been released many times. The first two alone had I think several different cuts. This is the director's cut, which I don't really think it matters because a lot of Star Trek fans don't even talk about this one. I don't know why. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, this is great. I saw this in theaters, actually. This is one of the best sequels out there, definitely. And no, you don't have to watch the first one to watch this. I think that's kind of what's interesting about most of these movies. Not all of them, but most of them. Is that you don't have to watch the previous movies to kind of understand them. Except the third one, I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, Wrath of Khan was basically a continuation of an episode from the show, in which Kirk basically sent Khan out into the void of space or something, he banished him or something like that. And because he was trying to destroy this planet or something, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong though. So yeah, this is basically a continuation of an episode of a show, and it actually was really good. It was good. I'm not going to say the line because we all know it. And Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, which, in order to watch this, you have to watch The Wrath of Khan in order to understand it, because there's a vital plot point in this. Yeah, these are the Klingons, right? Yeah, the Klingons. Okay. Yeah, I've not seen this. But I did like the J.J. Abrams Star Trek films. The 2009 Star Trek, which I saw this several times. Haven't seen it since, though. This was a reboot of sorts, but it includes Leonard Nimoy from the original cast. So, passing the baton to Zachary Quinto, who he's the new Spock. Or at least he was. I don't know what he's doing right now. But, yeah, I remember this movie being more or less an introduction to, an origin story on how the crew of the Enterprise became the Enterprise and all that. So I do remember this to an extent. Star Trek Into Darkness, which was really good. The Return of Khan, this time pointed by Benedict Cumberbatch. And yeah, I've definitely seen this. This is a really neat, I think, Target exclusive. But yeah, I liked this one. I did. I thought it was a blast. I thought it really did a great job. And yeah, really, really like that one. I did see Star Trek Beyond, which that one was okay. It wasn't as good as Into Darkness, but it was decent. And here is Steve Jobs, which I was talking about earlier. The thing about this movie is that, again, with Aaron Sorkin, he basically just throws accuracy out the window, and instead he makes character studies based on these characters. And the worst part about it is that this was based on an excellent biography of Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. Isaacson? Did I pronounce that right? Anyway, this movie's good until you realize that a lot of Steve Jobs is not even in here. You know, like it only covers like 3 events in his life, and I don't know why Aaron Sorkin chose to go down this route, but whatever. It's a good movie, but check out Jobs with Ashton Kutcher. I know some people are gonna go, well, no, Ashton Kutcher doesn't look like Steve Jobs, and I don't want to watch Ashton Kutcher as Steve Jobs because he should just stick to rom-coms. No, guys, that movie captured more of Steve Jobs' career than this movie did. Believe it or not, it's true. That movie focuses on how he started Apple in his garage, how he was a college dropout, how he became successful with the Apple II, how, the creation of a computer Lisa, which ended up being a flop, the Macintosh, it goes when he left when he left Apple, I don't know when, and then it ends with his return with the iMac and the announcement of the iPod. See, that's an example that is better done. I know the writing of that movie's not that great, but the structure of it is better. Like it actually feels like a biography of Steve Jobs. This one only captures 3 events, and it doesn't even like go into all much detail. Like it basically talks about things that didn't even happen in Steve Jobs' life. Like it didn't happen. Like no, the Macintosh computer did not break. The presentation did not break during the unveiling, and on top of that, it didn't like. Oh my god, I could go forever, but ugh. The acting's great, but you gotta deal with the writing. Oh my god. Okay. Let's move on to the next section.